Top of the morning, y'all. It is a very early stream. YouTube did the bait and switch on me with the recommended time frame for today. I'm not sure how this is going to go at 7 o'clock in the morning. Luckily, we do have viewers on the other side of the world, so maybe we'll get some of that action. Otherwise, this could be a short stream. If we do get something going on here, it's going to be about 1 hour, first come, first serve basis on the questions, assuming that they're good questions. Oh, Noi, good to see you. My mod is here. I'm so happy. We're starting off strong. So, that being said, I'm going to knock out my disclaimer as per usual. I am not a medical professional. Nothing I say is intended as health advice. Any major changes you make to your diet or any other aspect of your lifestyle is something you should check with a medical professional with before enacting in your own life. I'm also not a financial advisor, and nothing I say is a recommendation for investment. Furthermore, I'm a law-abiding citizen. Nothing I say is an admission of guilt. And lastly, but not leastly, all opinions are my own. Nothing I say is intended to be affiliated with whatever network that you happen to be viewing this on now or in the future. All right. So we're on day 3. How's my audio? How's my video? Oh, did I lose Noi? Yeah, I don't know about this time slot. We'll go ahead and give it a minute, though. I might push this, actually. Well, there we go. We got a couple of people. Good morning, guys. Oh, yeah. I've been meaning to add this to my intro. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications if you like these streams and you want to know when they're happening. There will probably be also some random times unadvertised, which we may be streaming, so it will be good to have your notifications on. You can also become a member if you want to get access to some of the more controversial streams that I put behind the paywall for protection purposes. And furthermore, your donations are very welcome. It helps add incentive and shows appreciation for my time. So, we do have 5 people here. Good morning, Noi. Good morning, Kapil. Oh, there we go. We're starting to get some people. It was a little slow. I was worried about this 7 o'clock thing because YouTube said this was my peak hour on this day. Oh, Kapil, I wish you didn't do that, dude. I gotta hide you from the channel now. But yeah. Oh yeah. So YouTube told me this was my peak hour, so I'm up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then I checked the analytics this morning, and it moved it to my normal hour. So it's okay. It's okay. Good morning, Adam. But let me know what you guys want to talk about. Sam, leave that alone. You ain't gonna do what you think you're doing. Come here. Bring it here. Yep. What's going on, Brenz? What's happening in the Philippines? Dude, you can have it outside. You ain't going outside in the morning? What do you guys want to talk about? Oh, while we wait for some questions, here's Sam's face. I guess now is a good time for me to research how to do a manual commercial break. I wonder how we do that. Well, thank you for coming, Brenz. I'm happy that you've been a fan for a while. You know, you guys, I didn't prepare anything specifically to talk about. So this is a kind of a choose your own adventure kind of thing. So feel free to lead the conversation if you guys want to kick off this stream. Thanks, Bailey. I appreciate you. You didn't expect to see this on your feed. What do you normally watch, Thomas, out of curiosity? Since this just popped into your feed. We talk about a lot of like spiritual topics usually, which is probably not what most people expect when they find my page. But you know, just roll with what we got. My dog's set on eating wood right now. Hey, the fuck are you doing? You're eating acorns, dude? This shit's poisonous. Come here. Spiritual how? What do you mean spiritual how? what elaborate on this question. This is we got at least a question mark. Sorry guys, I'm trying to keep it down. My girl's sleeping right now, but oh, thank you. Yeah, it's a nice little. We got a little cabin action going on. Might actually go outside here in a second. It's nice. Snap-a-Dragon says you have Nephilim blood. Your genes are strong. Well, I think that's a compliment. I'm not exactly sure what a Nephilim is. Is that a giant? I think it's a giant. I'll take it. I do have some giant aspects to me that have been fairly influential in my life, but Caesar Blanco, welcome. Good vibes and energy to all in the chat and Bruce. Well, thank you, Caesar. I'm into good vibes. I also like it when the chat, like, you know what I'm saying, talks to each other, so that's also cool. Thank you, Snap-a-Dragon. I appreciate you. Caesar Blanco confirms that Nephilim are giants. Yeah, it's an interesting world that we live in. If only we had our real oh no. Oh. There we go. It's back. Oh. Looks like our power is possibly flickering on and off, but let's see. Deuce Bigelow. It's more like the Big Lebowski, to be honest. You know, the dude abides. Oh, wait, we got our first unibrow comment. Let's talk about the unibrow. So, Stuart Hunter, do you do a lot of, like, picking of your face and stuff? Like, what's your... You can allow... Oh, well, no, I already blocked him. It's cool. I was going to bite. We don't have any other questions. I was going to bite on the unibrow thing. Where do I commode? You know, I'm a wandering soul. I have what's the word? I don't know if forsaken is a too strong a word, but I have what's the thing when you, sorry guys, it's early. I'm normally not, I mean, I get up this early, but I don't normally talk this early. The renunciation. I've renunciated living anywhere. So I'm living here for the moment, but it won't be a long-term thing. You know what I'm saying? The Book of Enoch. Yeah, that sounds. I've always wanted to read that. I've read like a lot of like stuff from the Book of Enoch, but I've never read the whole thing. I think it's quite interesting though. Um, let's see. AI says not angels, fallen angels. Is there really a difference? As above, so below, they say, right? Yeah, the wandering soul. Yeah, there's Snap-a-Dragon. We have been keeping the chat open to random people that come into the live streams and the shorts feed and all that. And we do get a tremendous amount of trolls here. But we try to approach them with compassion. We understand, the level of, personal suffering that it takes for a person to want to entertain themselves by going on random YouTubes and talking shit to strangers that they don't know or know anything about. So, as much as they are annoying and distasteful, we realize that they are indeed the ones that need to hear the message the most in some ways. Because, um, when you're an ultimately low viber, there's only one way to go, right? So, we tolerate them, but it is a little distracting sometimes in the chat, and just be forewarned. It won't be the last Neanderthal comment. It won't be the last caveman comment. It won't be the last whatever random shit that they come up with comment. But nonetheless, we approach it with compassion. Don Johnson says, smoke a bowl already. I've actually quit smoking. I'm like doing well with that. I'm off the coffee as well. I am drinking a little white tea right now, but we're aiming for ultimate purity. I might text Randall Cobb for Halloween. I don't know who Tex Randall Cobb is. Clopey says, look, they teach their children to talk and walk to become the perfect consumer. They fabricate their children as we speak. I don't know what you're talking about specifically, Klopsy, but ultimately I agree with this comment. I don't know who that is, but that is happening for sure. The perfect consumers are being trained from the young age of about 5 years old when they force them to go to school. And that much I do believe. Fallen angels were kicked out of heaven along with the devil. Well, do you suppose that that's like a one-way trip, or do you think that the fallen angels could potentially find their way back into heaven, after coming down here to suffer for, thousands and thousands of lives and an eternal repeating death sentence that's repeated billions of times over again? Just as a theory or something. Even now, you fill up their tabernacle, their mind. I don't know what we're talking about, but it's possible. I do say this a lot. As much as I like to come on here and speak a little spiritual positivity into the world, I am aware that the the powers that be can decide who sees these streams and what portions of them that they see, and so on and so forth. Um, and they can put their ads in, and they can decide what the next reel is after this one. You know, so in some way, it's certainly not wrong. You know what I'm saying? Um, let's see. Snapdragon says, I understand the majority of Enoch until he talks about the sun on a flat plane of existence. Well, I think that the whole like flat earth, round earth thing is a highly misconstrued thing, because it's been proven that things do not exist unless you're observing them, right? So, like photons, for example, act completely differently under observation than non-observation. So, if you take a more, I guess, esoteric approach to the way that you view the world, you could say that it is neither flat nor round, and rather it doesn't exist unless somebody is observing it, right? And so if somebody believes that it's flat, then when they view it, it will seem flat, right? But if somebody believes it's round, then when they view it, it will be round. Just as an idea. I don't know. That's kind of the way I look at it. Sweet Tea says there's a huge difference between angels and fallen angels. Well, I would love to expand on this concept. I would love to be educated, because, my angelic lore is a little bit slacking, to be honest. But I do have interest in the space, I will say. And Sweet Tea says, oh, wait, no, sorry, that was Sweet Tea that said the last name. Wilma is asking what the stream is about. And this stream is, in fact, about whatever you want it to be about. This is a question and answer based stream. Usually we talk about spiritual subjects, though I have should I say, a broad spectrum of life experiences. So I can really comment on just about anything. um, Cesar Blanca said, absolutely, they're the ones that need to hear the message, and I totally agree. The low vibrations do need guidance. Yeah, we could raise them up just a little bit. Just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Most of them are operating from the guilt, fear, shame section. You know what I'm saying? Because, their moms were mean to them, or, they got, you know, I'm not going to I don't want to go too hard into it because I don't want to trigger any people, but, many things could have happened to them, potentially even as children. So, we have to have compassion. It's important. Root says it's not bad to have Neanderthal DNA. And I agree. I think that it actually comes with like an above average logic and reasoning. You'll notice it in like a lot of chess players and things, like, Magnus Carlsen's a good example. Um, you know, and I certainly have no regrets. I think it also comes with like a certain level of like endowment, which has been very beneficial for me personally. So yeah, I don't have any regrets for the Neanderthal DNA, though I think it is probably undeniable, right? That it's in here. I've never been DNA tested, but I wear it proudly. Snapdragon says, wonder as evil spirits not going to heaven or hell. I think heaven or hell is a misconstrued concept, you know what I'm saying? Because I personally, I wouldn't say believe, but I have knowledge of reincarnation because I've remembered many past lives. And I would say that because we reincarnate into the same world over and over and over again, right? And that we help shape the world, that heaven and hell exist right here on earth, for us at least. And that whether we go to heaven or hell is based upon the world that we create. So if we turn this world into hell and we keep reincarnating into it and it keeps getting worse and worse and worse, that is essentially going to hell, right? But on the other side, if we make this world a better place, and we try to end suffering to at least some extent, then this world can develop into a more heavenly state of being, right? And then when we reincarnate into here, it's easier to attain higher levels of consciousness and easier to discharge our karma, and eventually break the cycle of rebirth. That's how I look at it. Welcome from Glasgow, Scotland, Scotsman. Noy says it's about spirituality and any questions that can educate others. That is true. We talk about spirituality. We talk about all kinds of things. Kevin likes the look and the unibrow and all. Yeah, I can't take credit for it. I did grow it all myself, but this is God's work. You know what I'm saying? I'm just honoring my creator by being as I was made. I don't believe in, what I like to say a lot when people ask me why I don't cut my hair or why I don't pluck my eyebrows. And I always say, because I trust God's design better than my barber's design. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't personally believe that hair is just some useless waste substance. I think that our body works really hard to like sprout hair all over. If you shave it off, it grows back really fast. It all has a nerve. You'll notice that, your hair is concentrated wherever you have the most neurons and things, nerve endings. And that's because each hair is attached to a nerve, an oil gland, and a muscle, right? So it's a fairly complex structure, right? They're also hollow. And I think that even the fact that when you shave and stuff, that your hair actually gets thicker in an attempt to overcome whatever's happening to it, shows that it has an important structure or important function to your body. It's just that most people are not aware of that, but the people that are maintaining the what do you call it, the facade, the people that are indoctrinating us with into whatever belief systems that they place on us, they know what it does. And they don't want us operating like that, right? They don't want people to spiritually awaken. They don't want people to feel each other's auras. They don't want people to be liberated. They want people to be subjugated. And so they train us to damage ourselves by trimming ourselves, cutting ourselves, picking ourselves, putting chemicals all over ourselves. And most of these chemicals and things, it's a mixture of things. They want us to be infertile, they want us to be dull, the fluoride in the water and all that kind of stuff. And they want us to be reliant upon the medical industry. But they also want to get rid of all their waste chemicals because they have issues with getting rid of waste with the petrochemical, the oil industry and stuff, also the agricultural like chemical industry and a bunch of other industries as well. They have a lot of like waste products, right? And to them, the best way that if they can harm an enemy or subjugate us and get rid of their waste at the same time, then that's like a double win to them, right? So they put the shit into your shampoo, into your lotion, into your toothpaste, into your water, and this is how they get rid of their wastes and keep our population from growing too fast or becoming free. Let's see. Cesar Blanco says, first time here and I like the vibes, bro. liked and subbed. I know this channel popped up for a reason. Awesome. I'm so glad that my algorithm is finally figuring itself out, because yeah, I had to take a little break for a little while. I made a mistake of talking about investing on here one day, and my algorithm like immediately like was like, oh yes, options and stocks. Um, and then all that crew didn't really like much care for the spiritual and minimalism talks, so I had to like let it simmer down for a little while. But we're back. We're doing a comeback right now. Mm. Oh, we got a tea fan. You love the going black. Yeah, this is a white pu'er silver tip, loose leaf. Mm. Super into the pu'er. Do I use mushrooms for guidance? Right now I'm like super about my like purity and uh, kind of, like I'm even gonna drop the tea here pretty soon. But I relapsed on coffee for a little while, so I'm setting myself down gently. But I do think that nature provides some interesting things that for consulting with nature and stuff. But I've found personally that the most powerful substances uh, are ones that are generated within your own body. You know what I'm saying? And in order to produce some of the more powerful stuff like DMT and penoline and things like that, I use the Breaking Bad analogy a lot. Like you got to clean the equipment if you want to be able to make a good product, right? And so I'm super about fasting and eating super clean and organic and all that. Now I occasionally maybe it is nice to enjoy the fruits of nature, but those fruits work the best if you're clean as well, if you're pure as well, and if it's only on like very, very rare occasions, so that it doesn't have any kind of like ongoing effect, because the body tends to be like everything else in nature. It's kind of mean reverting, right? So if you put something in, your body stops producing it itself. And the reason why these things like mushrooms, cannabis, so on and so forth, are able to have an effect on us is because we have receptors for those things. And the reason why we have receptors for those things is because our body itself can actually produce those things, right? And so if you're putting those things in externally, then your body stops producing them. It's like you can see this effect very pronouncedly in like steroid use. So for example, somebody puts external testosterone in their body and then their nuts shrivel up and they're not producing testosterone anymore, right? Naturally, they have to put it in externally. You can also see this on the opposite side of that. People that are doing steroids that have already destroyed their testosterone production, how do they get it going again? They put female birth hormones into their body, and their body freaks out and goes, what the fuck's going on, and starts making testosterone again. But this happens on like in many different ways. Like they do it to us on purpose with a lot of our food, like milk, for example. They put vitamin D in our milk, which disrupts our own vitamin D production, right? They put all these other vitamins and things in the bread and so on and so forth, and it just kind of um it stops your body from operating at its fullest. And so um I just try to avoid all that. Like fasting is like a really like key component to my um life, you know. So let's see, what's my take on Jesus. um it's a good question. I mean, I honestly think that you know religion in general has kind of been like you know recanned and redone for different groups of people. You'll see it's almost like the same story in Buddhism. It's almost the same story in the Krishna thing with Hinduism, Christianity, even like if you want to go back even farther, it's like basically the same story of like Osiris, the Egyptian stuff. It's really just the same story over and over and over again. And potentially there was somebody like that at some point. I don't know. But all in all, I think that, it's kind of religion is fallen to some extent where it's more of a manipulation. It really holds people back from true spirituality. Like in general, like I tend to be a little bit bitter about Christianity specifically because I am of European descent. And, all of our European religions, like our native religions and stuff, which are probably much more mirroring to like some Eastern religions, um, have been completely destroyed, and we don't actually know any of our own lore or any of our own spiritual background, because a Middle Eastern religion, which was Christianity, conquered us and destroyed all of um, our our lore. So it's really hard to say. I personally try to stay away from religion because and I operate spiritually based upon my own experiences. I've had uh, a lot of very intense spiritual experiences, which started back in like September 2023. So it's been a fairly new thing, but it literally just took my personality, my ego, just ripped it out of my body and just like plugged in a whole new personality. So, um, and since then, I've been able to have these glimpses of, uh, basically godlike experiences where I got to see what it's like to be God from different angles. And, I've got to remember a lot of past lives and so on and so forth. And it's also healed me. Like I was doing really poor with my health, and it just like now I'm in the greatest health of my life, even better than the peak of my career, better than when I was in my 20s or even younger. Like it's like almost kind of like I just started like aging backwards, right? And yeah, so I kind of try to stay away from like the religion personally, though it does bear some interest because I kind of reverse engineered everything that happened to me like afterwards. And I have found a lot of parallels and stuff in religion, but the way that religion is actually taught, I kind of see truth in the old quote of organized religion was created to protect man from a direct experience with God, right? And that's because, like my first experience could only be described as either enlightenment or possibly spiritual liberation, the release from fear, right? And truly, the enlightened person or the spiritually liberated person cannot be subjugated. Um, and that's not something that they would really like the greater population to attain, because it would ultimately threaten and destroy the entire power structure as it is currently. So that's kind of my view on Jesus and religion in general. More so, I would say that I think it's um, tends to be one of the hardcore Christians tend to be some of the harder people to talk to about spirituality, because they tend to be mistaken by the idea that they can um, be forgiven simply by swearing some oath to a man that may or may not have existed, and if he did existed 2,000 something years ago. So in my view, it's better to take control of your own karma and to operate with virtue. We talk a lot about virtue. I have more of like a Taoist perspective myself. Um, though I don't consider myself a Taoist. I consider myself non-religious, but um, but Tao Te Ching would probably be my favorite. It's definitely my favorite book ever written. The Earth is definitely round. I also agree that the Earth is round from my own perspective, but to somebody standing on, I honestly just don't think that it exists if nobody's looking at it. I kind of more think that this is all some type of like more like a dream or a simulation or something like that. More like a thought of God, a single thought. I think of everything as like more of like a quantum thought where all things happened simultaneously, and then now we're analyzing it from the inside, from limited perspective, so that we could see it from every angle and experience it as it is and obtain as many lessons as possible, which are all streaming up to a central consciousness, right? And that central consciousness potentially even has a creator as well, which is beyond imagination, beyond words, beyond description, beyond a name. And that's kind of my view on it. Does a univow raise your vibrations? Well, lack of vanity raises your vibration. Humility raises your vibration. Pride lowers your vibration. There's a lot of you could pretty much boil down all the vibrational thing of raising or lowering your vibration into the 7 deadly sins or the 7 godly virtues, right? And there's a lot of those sins and a lot of those virtues embedded into the unibrow. So, you could say indeed that the unibrow raises your vibration because it teaches you humility, and acceptance, things like that. Am I RH negative? I think I am RH negative. I think I'm O negative, but I need to double check on that. It's just what my mom told me a long time ago. She didn't actually say RH negative. She just told me that I was a universal donor, which I think is O negative. Orlando Grant says, "What are your recommendations you have for grounding in the winter?" Well, I'm like a hardcore barefooter, and I'm also nomadic, so I tend to avoid places that are super super cold. So I haven't actually had to, um, deviate from my barefooting. But yeah, I'm like a barefoot hiker, barefoot runner, um, things like that. So I spend a lot of time in nature, um, and I find the earth to be an extremely powerful catalyst for spiritual growth. There's a whole celestial aspect to spirituality and the human body itself, and the closest celestial body to us is indeed the earth, right? It's the one celestial body that we can actually touch. Now, we also are greatly influenced by the moon and the sun as well. So, and the Jupiter also and Saturn have tremendous influences as well, just because of their size. Um, and so, connecting with the celestial bodies is, a major catalyst for spiritual growth. And I think that the easiest celestial body to connect to is the one that we can indeed touch and ground ourselves to. So yeah, there is my recommendation would be to stop wearing shoes. There's also an aspect that I've discovered that when grounded by touching the ground with your feet, there's hand and foot chakras, right? But also, you got a bunch in your head. The hair has part to do with it, and there's a magnetic field, an electromagnetic field, right? That's surrounding the earth, and that's influenced by the sun, right? And so you can create a circuit between the sun and the earth that will energize your body in ways that you can't even imagine. Like, it sounds crazy, but I mean, it's extremely acute. Like, this isn't like a subtle thing once you turn this on. And you'll find that you can have more endurance, you'll heal faster, you'll need to eat far less. Um, but you have to connect, you have to wake up this connection with the earth for that to happen. If you wake up the connection with the earth and then you wake up the connection with the sun, now you got the circuit going, and life is never the same after that. I can confirm. Sapdragon says, yes, a unibrow raises it. It's underlying what culture has brainwashed to separate. Amen to that. Thank you so much. Let's see. Caesar agrees. Rave agrees. Oh, we got a good group going on. We got people. They're got my algorithm dialed right now. 7 o'clock in the morning is the spot. Snapdragon says, I was a technician after the Great Reset Sky War. I remember working on huge airship rigs. My mission was to dismantle them. I had a wife and a son and a daughter. I think I died because I was building a working aircraft and they found out. That is beautiful. I'm so happy to talk to someone else that has remembered a life that doesn't align with the bullshit scenario that they've been feeding us and calling it history. Like, our whole history is fake. Let's just go ahead and get that out. Nothing that they've taught us is real, and if any of it's real, it didn't happen when they're saying that it happened. We've been reset so many fucking times. And yeah. Mike says hell is just separation from God, and that is described as. Yeah, I guess you could probably say that. I can't disagree with you. Yeah, I'll take it. Noi, thank you so much for the donation. Let's see. They said, nah, bro, they found out some bacteria is bad and tried to kill them. I don't know what you're talking about, but it potentially something happened. They. Who is vague they? They understand the truth that by announcing who you are, letting people know who you are, that you make yourself a target. And so we're not allowed to know who they are. You know what I'm saying? So that is why it's vague, because it's by design. It's designed to be vague. But most likely, it's actually, to be completely honest, you see, there's they might not actually be as bad as we perceive them to be, because they understand that the path to hell is paved in good intentions, and that everything is mean reverting. And they also understand that time is an illusion, and that given the current state of everything, our lifespans are so short that we, being mortal and they being most likely immortal, I shouldn't speak for myself, because I believe I am also immortal at this point, but somebody's not gonna like that. That time being an illusion, you know what I'm saying, this is even a few generations, several generations, 10 generations, even 100 generations is not that much on the grand scale of things, right? And so, you know, weak men make hard times make strong men make easy times, right? So, you know, I think that we might be being herded into hard times so that we can create strong men again and potentially rise out of this darkness that we're in. But I could be wrong. There could just be some evil motherfuckers doing some evil fucking shit. But we really don't know. We're not allowed to know. You know what I'm saying? Root says, I learned that common probiotics and prebiotics are even byproducts from processing. Oh, yeah, that. Well, there is that. That's also a thing. They do it with bacteria as well, too. But cultivation of the microbiome through natural means, not by taking fucking pills and shit, is also extremely important. And this is done through like a mono diet. You know what I'm saying? Like you choose what you want to eat and eat the same thing every day for a period of time so that you develop a bacteria that is able to properly digest that thing. And then you can move on to the next, so on and so forth, until you've kind of, uh, you know, dialed in your microbiome and start actually digesting your food properly. Like most people don't even know how to eat. You know what I'm saying? Like you should never eat something without first filling your entire mouth with saliva until it's about to overflow and then swallowing the saliva all at once and then you eat. You know, that makes a big difference in your digestion. So there's a little stuff for you there. My musician? No, I mean, maybe, I don't know. I haven't tapped into my musical talents yet, but I could become a musician one day. You never know. I like my goatee. Thank you. I grew it myself. Am I homeless? Well, I mean, I'm in a home right now. Seems like a silly question. Who conquered me? Um, I mean, it's hard to say. I feel pretty liberated, to be honest. Quentin says long-term weed addiction reduces testosterone, lowers sperm quality, and causes testicular shrinkage. I've abused weed most of my life, and I'm only just discovering this. Well, Quentin, it's never too late to purify yourself. You can basically reverse all the things that you just talked about through fasting, dry fasting, even. Okay, I know a lot of people will tell you that it's dangerous, but they tell you that it's dangerous because it's powerful and they don't want you to do it. So, you know what I'm saying? Start working on your dry fasting, and you can basically reset everything. Am I high? I'm not high. Is dog alcoholic? I don't know if I'm dog, but I am not alcoholic. But dog the bounty hunter is probably alcoholic. So it depends who the dog is. Fisher says, exactly, bro. It's why Jesus hated religion, is swaying them from the deep relationship we're meant to have. Exactly. I guarantee, if the Messiah of Jesus or whatever of Christianity is reborn, he will be more upset with Christians than anyone else on the entire planet. Not only that, but he may not even announce himself, because if all of a sudden the Messiah is reborn and he gets here and looks around and sees crosses everywhere with all the people that are supposedly following him, and they're waving their crosses around, which are clearly a threat, in case he ever does be reborn and remembers who he is, he might just say, you know what, I'm opting out this time. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Just, you know, as a concept, consider if that happens, or how badly that people are conducting themselves through religion. Buga Bando says, I've given myself to the Lord not too long ago, and ever since I feel alive. Well, that's good, because, you know, you could call that which is beyond comprehension the Lord. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is that you can't learn about the Lord in a book. You can learn about man and the spiritual ego in a book, you know, and you can read about the things that man has done when operating from the spiritual ego. But to know the Lord, to know that which created everything, or even that which created everything, you have to experience it yourself, right? And to experience it yourself, you have to unlearn everything that you know. You have to release the concept that you know anything. You have to say the most holy words on the planet, the three most holy words. You say, I don't know. You go, I don't know nothing. and you release it all. Just let it go. You learn to meditate. You fast. You purify yourself. You operate every aspect of your life with as much virtue as you can dig out of yourself and put that and adorn yourself with. You know what I'm saying? When you can adorn yourself with all 7 virtues, you can rise from sin, then you will know your Lord personally, on a personal level. The sun touches you daily. I can't make it stop. Everyone thinks I'm crazy. No, listen, I had a sun. I literally sprouted a sun in my chest one day and my whole body started steaming. And I was like, my third eye was like looking. It was like I was standing at the surface of the sun with octagons playing some type of fucking melody of patterns and whatever. I totally get it. Okay. And ever since then, the sun is like, you can feel it just beam into the back of your head and just rage down your spine, through your feet into the earth. And it just charges you. I know exactly what you're talking about, son of cool. When you close your eyes, you see more clearly in some way. Yes. I mean, I don't even have to close my eyes, but I will say that through the mind's eye, you can see much more clearly than through your 2 physical eyes, right? Because you can see like the 4th or 5th dimension, or maybe even more. But once you've seen a higher dimension, you realize that this is like Mario Brothers 1. This is like some low-tech fucking bullshit simulation. Once you've seen the higher dimension with your mind's eye, you realize that all this shit looks fake as fuck. So I would say yes. But you don't even need to close your eyes. You just have to open your third eye. You know what I'm saying? Jamahal says, I'm trying to become hairy like you. Well, the beauty of that is you don't have to do anything. You just stop doing things. You just trust the process. Trust your creator. You remember that God's plan is greater than our plan. It's much greater than your barber's plan. I promise. Just let it happen. PlayStation says, seriously, I'm bald. Well, if you're bald, then you're meant to be bald. You know what I'm saying? And you're that you can trust in that as well. And it's just whatever the hair does is not meant for you. But if you have the ability to grow hair, you should grow hair. Trauma Hall says, thought in the orphan trains and the Cabbage Patch Kids during the reset? Well, we all know that happened. I mean, come on. But it's probably not it was just the most recent reset. They've probably been doing this forever. You know what I mean? They're breeding these kids underground, telling them that they're survived the apocalypse, that they're the only ones that survived, and that the surface is, got radiation or virus or whatever it is, and then whenever shit gets out of hand here, they just wipe everyone out, and they tell them, okay, it's finally safe, and they bring them up, and then next thing you know, we have the silent generation, and they play that out until around Generation Z or whatever, and then wipe it again. Let's see. What was my favorite music in my youth when you listened to music? When I was really young, I was like, I was into, like, I really liked Nirvana, Metallica, Alice in Chains. Those were probably like my first favorite bands. Well, Davian West says, I think Davian West is balding a little as well. But you guys, listen, fasting is the key to everything. Fast. Like your life depends on it. Fast fucking dry and fast hard. Now, I'm not a medical professional. Nothing I say is intended as health advice, but I want to say that fasting is the most holy thing that you can do. It's the most healing thing that you can do. It's the most important thing you could possibly fucking do physically. to heal yourself and to expand yourself spiritually. What I like to say a lot is you are what you eat. So eat the self if you want to know the self. If you want to figure out who and what you really are, if you want to remember what you are, eat the self. It's all the above. It's synced up. Yeah, the paradox. Exactly, player 5. It's all about the paradox, the irony, right? It's the greatest humor ever created was Earth. Okay, this is like one of the funniest jokes of all time. This whole fucking scenario is hilarious if you're paying attention, right? Like we came here to suffer, but we also came to laugh. You know, it's a hilarious joke. The most ironic outcome, the most paradoxical thing that can happen is a sure thing. If you want to predict everything and know everything, just imagine whatever is the most ironic thing that could possibly ever happen. And if you correctly guess that thing, you can predict anything anything in the world. You can know it all. This world is irony in its purest form. It's beautiful. It's painful. It's also a great amount of pleasure involved in it, but we can't have one without the other, can we? It's the paradox. It's the irony. It's the contrast. Dr. Dab is tripping fucking balls right now. Well, fuck, I can only imagine what the fuck this is doing to you if you're tripping balls right now. Like, yeah, you came to the right place to be tripping balls, my friend. Beth the bounty hunter with their big. That's funny. What's dry fasting? That means that you're not eating, but you're also not drinking water. Whoa, what a concept. You put nothing into your body for like a period of time and you survive. Wow, how is it possible that we could go fucking 2 days without food and water? Oh my gosh. Sorry, I didn't mean to be I know that it was I didn't mean to be like that to you. That wasn't at you specifically. That was just at like a lot of people. But I actually respect and appreciate that question. That is what dry fasting is. But I was doing all this because so many people will try to tell you that it's dangerous, you know. And if it's dangerous, if you die in 2 days without food and water, guess what? You were really unhealthy to begin with. And luckily, you'll reincarnate and you'll get a second chance. But I'm not a medical professional. Nothing I say is intended to health advice. Was I ever into smoking cigarettes? Not really. I mean, when I was a kid, I guess I used to steal my mom's cigarettes every once in a while and, you know, have smoking contests with my friends. You know, go smoke a Marlboro 100 as fast as possible and then throw up. But we only did it a few times. Sorry. Too much honesty. Dora the Destroyer has watched my other content and didn't know I did live streaming, but now you do. Now you do. Spud likes to run around. Oh, Spud's on another page. Jackie, what's happening? Jackie learned more about God being alone out in nature or in her car than any other book. And I would say that's the only place that you can learn about God truly, is in nature, alone, in silence most of the time. And that is the way. That is the path. Fasting, silence, solitude. You'll get to know God real quick. Dora the Explorer says it's a big surprise. Now she's going back to my other content. But just hang out for a minute. You know what I'm saying? That's not going anywhere. You can talk to us about this right now. It's all right. the Blair Witch wants to stay in the deep, dark forest. That sounds like your place, just based upon your name. I'm not going to lie. Angel Capita says, you look like one of the dwarfs of Erebon from The Hobbit in An Extraordinary Journey. You gotta be careful, Angel. I got a really hot Lord of the Rings fan not too far away, and you might get me pulled away from this stream if you keep talking like that. Let's see. Murder Downtown says, can your third eye even see through that eyebrow hair? Yeah, that's the antenna. You know what I'm saying? The reason why the eyebrows are why they're here partially is because there's like a nerve that comes out of your temple and it goes over your eyebrows, and this is the nerve that innervates all your eyebrow hair. So, you know, most likely it not only sees through it, but it uses it. Raphael says, a friend of mine spent 7 days in total darkness and began seeing through his third eye. No joke. Yeah, that's true. It grows a big part of your brain by a lot. The darkness therapy is a real deal thing. Angel Capita says, okay, Doctor Strange in the multiverse of madness. It is like that, though. That was a very profound movie. Not the multiverse one, but the original Doctor Strange. You know, when she, like, blasts the guy out of his body and he, like, falls through all the, you know, different layers of the universe. It's really like that. You could have an experience like that. But you have to first unindoctrinate yourself. You know, they show you things like that. They show you the truth and call it fiction so that you believe that it's fiction. You see what I'm saying? They start doing it when you're really young, you know, with Disney and stuff. The Sword and the Stone. So, just forget everything you think you know. Stop watching TV. Bussum Messum says, you sound like a Sith Lord. No, I didn't even know Sith Lords talk. I thought the Sith Lord was like silent. He just uses the Force only. I could be wrong though. I'm not like a huge Star Wars person, but the Force is real though. I will confirm. Jackie says, my brother saw Metallica. Okay, we're talking about Metallica. True love is like blood. Ivy Drip says, I like to think you are what you eat, so eat people smarter and stronger than you and take their power. I'm sure that's, you know, that's probably a thing, but it's kind of dark. I mean, Asher Gray, good to see you. Asher Gray says, I don't know if it's been brought or if this makes sense in some respect. Personally, I think we life forms should not be able to rule ourselves, else the world wouldn't be as it is. Well, I mean, we can't really confirm that we do rule ourselves, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, there is some possibility to that. Definitely, I don't think, as we are currently, that most people that are ruling us now should be ruling us. I don't think that we should allow anyone who wants to rule to rule. I think that as a people, we should find somebody who we think is good to rule, and that we should basically force them to rule, you know, rather than trying to have this fucking lost concept of democracy or whatever that's not even real to begin with, where we got shadow governments and shadow whatever and the banks and all this bullshit. Rather than that, we should find somebody who is ultimately virtuous, the most virtuous of all people, and we should, as as a civilization, unite and give them tell them that we're not really asking, we're telling. You know what I'm saying? I think we should go find whoever is the most virtuous person that we can locate, and we should essentially force them to rule us and lead us. That would be the smartest way to go about it. But, that requires intelligence and fearlessness, So, our people are slacking in a lot of areas that we need to work on. But it doesn't mean that we can't work on it. MK Production says, I tend to agree about the value of fasting. I'm still learning about it. And it's very difficult still, but it gets easier time the body figures itself out and deletes what is not needed. Exactly. It's optimization. Fasting is like working out. You have to work yourself up to it. You have to adapt to it, but you get stronger. And also, too, like everything that you lose in fasting, like you might lose a little muscle, you might whatever, feel weak for a while. But when you optimize your body, eventually you'll realize that you can gain all that back with absolute ease, right? You barely even have to work out to gain muscle. You really just eat, because your body becomes better at assimilating. It's also really important. A really important aspect of fasting, if I can offer this, is shitting. Okay. What you really want is to get yourself to a place where you eat, and then sometime within the next 12 hours or so, you eliminate, and your body is completely empty inside. And from that state of absolute emptiness, many, many, many things will happen. Your whole gut and everything has all kinds of abilities and things that it can do for you, aside from digesting food, but it prioritizes digesting food. So if you have food inside you, it's not operating at its optimal level to produce neurotransmitters and whatever else that you need, right? And so, yeah. And then, the other thing too is just on a completely like philosophical and moral level, I think that it's important to realize, to be conscious about eating everything that you eat. No matter what you eat, you should be conscious of the fact that you're going to turn that thing into shit. So you should never eat anything which you're not consciously aware that you're turning into shit, and that you're okay with that. You're welcome, Pat. You're welcome, Pat. Research it. Let's see. Blair Witch says, you will believe in me. I will never be ignored. It can be like that sometimes. Big Hawk Down's wife put him in check. Carolyn, good to see you. Good morning, good morning. Anything new you've been doing lately in your spiritual journey? Yes, I've been doing something very new in my spiritual journey, but it's a me thing more than an us thing, So, but maybe one day I will share the results after I find the results of this new endeavor. But I am experimenting with love in a new way, and that is one of the most spiritual emotions. So I've also been doing some pretty intense shadow work, Carolyn. So, C. Simpson says, you sound like those people that believe we're living in the Matrix. Well, it's kind of like that. That's like a modern way of like saying it. But, in the past, you would say it's like a dream. I would say it's like a thought of God, like a single thought. You know, it's hard to understand the infinite from a finite perspective, right? But you can imagine it like this. Imagine the entire universe, not just the solar system, not just the Milky Way, but the universe, the whole universe, as one cell of your body, and the multiverse as your whole body, right? And every star within the universe as a like a mitochondria, right? And then imagine something so big that it's billions and billions of universes, and that every star is just a little mitochondria inside that universe, right? And then realize that you're not even close, that the reality of the infinite is far beyond that, right? And that will get you much closer to reality. You know what I'm saying? Smokey says, you look like Jesus, brother. And I will say, you know why? Because Jesus knew what I know, and that you should respect your creator and not uh, alter the equipment that you were gifted. You know what I'm saying? To be as your creator made you. You know, like even in the Bible, I'm not a big religious person, but you know, if you want to read up on what the vow of the Nazarite is, you can realize the truth of what I just said, and you can also realize that Jesus was an alcoholic. You know you're an alcoholic if you not only put down the wine, but you won't even eat raisins. Just saying. Think about it. T. Simpson says, if we really want world peace, we need a one world government. Maybe what we need is a virtuous one world monarch is what we need. Let's see. Raphael says, what's a good mantra or mindset to not break the fast and keep going? Silence. Remember that the harder it gets, the closer you are to breaking through. When you're fasting, it gets really, really intensely miserable at some point. But right after that, you break into a euphoric state where you can meditate so purely and that you just feel amazing and you're no longer hungry and you don't have pain and everything is fucking beautiful. And as soon as you're getting the worse that it's remember that all things come to an end. Right? And so as the worse that it gets, the closer you are to that end, right? You are what you eat. Healthy body, healthy mind. Eat the self. Do I like whiskey or beer? I mean, I don't really drink, but if I was going to drink, I would like whiskey and beer. TB says, no, don't retain. It's a gift to explore yourself. No, you should retain, but you should enjoy the fruits, but without the expenditure. You see what I'm saying? If you can have self-control and self-mastery over your body's functions, you can even actually have an orgasm without ejaculation, right? But more so, you can also have sex without ejaculation. If you don't actually take it, on the road to being able to separate the orgasm from ejaculation, you can also have the sex without releasing, right? And this is a very powerful thing spiritually, right? Then you're building up your vital energy, you're building up your vital essence, you're help refining the Jing into Qi and the Qi into Shen. You feel me? From the Taoist perspective, anyways. You could look at it as prana as well, if you're more into yoga or something, or just energy, or if you're a Christian, you could call it the Christos oil. You could build up the Christos, the Amrita. You know what I mean? So it's really all about self-control. It's only the release that matters. You see, when you release this substance which can create life, which your body worked very hard to create, you'll notice you're very tired afterwards, right? So you have a few moments of bliss followed by a refraction period, right? But if you separate those things, you'll realize that you're actually energized by sex, that you're creating almost like a fusion reactor between you and another person, where you're putting in energy and they're putting in energy, and that energy combines to create more energy. You see what I'm saying? But it's only when you release as a man that you drain yourself of your vital essence, of your Ching. You see what I'm saying? Your prenatal vitality. Bruce Isley says, and God has a name for every one of those stars. Yes, the stars are indeed conscious. Those are the celestial bodies. That's where your real body is a star. Right now, you're driving an avatar. You're operating a meat ship remotely from your true body and consciousness, collection of consciousness, which is its physical manifestation in the 3D part, in this 3D part of the universe, this dimension. The actual body of your consciousness is a star. And this meat ship is just something that you're operating remotely from a star, right? And I know that that's hard for some people to conceptualize, but that's the reality. Arnef says, what's your opinion on eating non-veg or veg in the spiritual path? My opinion is that you should eat absolutely consciously and realize that whatever you eat is going to turn into shit. And if you're okay with turning one of God's creations into shit, then you should also be okay with experiencing that creation's life and death in the exact manner in which it experienced it, because that's what you will experience. You see what I'm saying? Once you tie your karma to something, okay, then you're going to gain access to its experience. So rather, if you value the experience of being slaughtered, then it's fine to eat meat. You know what I'm saying? If you embrace that karma, right? But if you think that you're going to somehow get away from that without any kind of, without experiencing the experience, because everything happens simultaneously in a quantum fashion, right? So when you experience a life, it's not, you're experiencing in a linear fashion from your soul level, right? But it all happened at once. It's just that you have to go and you have to discharge your karma by experiencing everything which you tied your karma to, or every action that you made, right? So when you die, you will experience the death of the things which you tied your karma to, not just animals and stuff, people that you loved, your family, so on and so forth, people you interacted with. You will have everybody's experiences in the end. And if you ever raise yourself and free yourself from karma, you will have to experience everything that ever happened on the entire planet, right? And so you have to accept that. You are what you eat, and you're a human being. Yes. Well, if you stop eating other things, then what else? What are you eating? You're eating yourself, right? You guys, I am way past my original thing. I said I was only going to stream for an hour. So I am going to end the stream. I'm sorry that I didn't get all the way to the bottom. Oh, wait, we're almost to the bottom. I'll go ahead and finish it. Fuck it. Arnav says, what's your opinion on Sadhguru? Do you watch his videos? Yeah, Sadhguru is amazing. Sadhguru had a huge impact on my life because before I was interested in spirituality, I was into like regenerative farming and things. And I had, a little project going on. I was super into the composting thing or whatever. So I started following Sadhguru because of the Save Soil movement, which is something that I thought was really beautiful, and I really respected him for that, right? Well, when I started following him, I started obviously getting spiritual content as well. His insights, I'm like, wow, this guy's like super, he's got some good stuff. Well, one day I came across a video about the Om. That Om, right? And so I watched this video from Sadhguru about the Om, and I was driving through the desert, through Death Valley on my way from Los Angeles to Vegas, and I was chanting the Om from probably, I would say, Rancho Cucamonga to like around Baker area. And somewhere around Baker, when I was chanting the Om, all of a sudden my vision started like shooting out, and I was like, had like night vision, reading license plates like miles in front of me. I was like, what? I just unlocked like supervision. I'm like casting it out, and I had total control of this vision thing. And so I keep chanting. Next thing I know, I started hearing angels playing harps. Like, started hearing harps, and it became louder and louder and louder till there was like thousands of harps. My whole car started vibrating, and then a gold light shot in through the back of my head, and I could see on my third eye this spinning gold light that I was completely immersed in, and it went down my spine into my nuts and raised up the front and shot out my eyes and my mouth. And I looked in my rearview mirror, and there was gold light, gold lasers like shooting out of my mouth and my eyes. Like the whole inside of me was just light coming out. And I looked around, and there was fucking gold. My whole inside of my van was just like gold light, completely illuminated. The dogs looking at me all crazy. And then I just got the download. Boom! The whole history of everything. And then I spoke to an angel for like 2 weeks. And that was my moment of enlightenment. So I thank Sadhguru for that, because he taught me the Om, and the Om is what caused that, and or what triggered that for me. And so there's very powerful things in the world which we are not privileged to knowing. Many of us, I had no clue that the power of chanting. But yes, that's my Sadhguru story. Let's see. This person was convicted and almost did 27 years. That's true. I almost did life. That is true. Everything is connected. It's true. We are all one. It is all one. The thing is it's hard to conceptualize, but I am actually you. You know what I'm saying? You're not actually talking to me. You're talking to yourself. Or should I say yourself is talking to you? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a manifestation of you that had some very unique life experiences, and I'm sharing that with you because I'm you. I don't want to be here right now. I don't want to be doing this. I got the hottie of the century upstairs waiting for me right now. This is not what I want to be doing. But out of respect to myself, which is you, I'm here talking to us, which is God. So Pat says, I have to let go of grief by deep breathing, as people would get along much better if we just breathe. Breathing is the key. Consciousness, or should I say awareness, is the key. Conscious awareness is the master key. And so if you breathe consciously, if you eat consciously, if you walk consciously barefooted, you have to pay attention to every step. If you're conscious of every single thing you do, conscious of every word that comes out of your mouth, if you're absolutely consciously aware of everything, I can't even explain how your life will change. Your perception of me is a reflection of you. Exactly, DB. That is absolutely true. Jerry says, New Age stuff, yeah. What's your opinion on afterlife and death and Jesus Christ? Jerry, I've covered all of that already in this stream, and I'm way past my allotted hour that I was meant to do this. And I would say rewatch this stream after I end it from the start. I got to go right now, but all your answers are in the stream. And Mr. Cheese Poof, I don't know about the earth batteries or pile batteries, but I might look into that. Everybody, have an amazing morning, have an amazing afternoon, have an amazing evening, an amazing night, depending where you are in the world. I love you all very much. I will be back on tomorrow. I'll have to check my analytics and see what the time spot is for tomorrow, but it'll probably, if I would guess, around 9 a.m. I hope to see you there. We're on a streamathon. We're going to see how many days in a row we can keep this going before it flutters out or skyrockets. All right. So don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to turn on notifications. There's some videos will be members only. It's only $1 to become a member. All right. And there's a reason behind that, but I'm not going to explain it right now. Okay. I love you guys very much. Until next time. Adios.